All right, so it's been about 80 days since the Taliban stormed to power in Kabul. And the Taliban is now finding out that it's actually not that easy to run a country. The economy in the country is failing. There is the threat of the ISIS Khorasan group. And now the Taliban is having to contend with what is being described as an invisible enemy. These are infiltrators within the ranks of the Taliban. In the latest threat that the Taliban now faces, the supreme leader of the Taliban, Haibatullah Akhundzada, has now issued a rare public statement reflecting on the seriousness of this issue. Now, in his statement, Akhundzada has said that there could be certain unknown entities within the ranks of the Taliban who are working against the will of the Taliban government. He's now urged the Taliban commanders to purge the Taliban ranks. Now, remember, this is not the first time that a senior Taliban leader has issued such a warning. Earlier in September, the acting defense minister, Mullah Muhammad Yaqub, had also said that there are some imposters who want to join the Taliban to defame the group with their actions. These warnings have come as the Taliban is now on a recruitment drive as it is seeking to maintain security across the length and breadth of the country. But the group has not been very successful. Remember, for 20 long years, the Taliban used the tactics of insurgency and guerrilla warfare to oust the Americans from Afghanistan. And now, the rivals of the Taliban within the country are using exactly the same tactics that the Taliban had used so successfully against the Americans. There are suicide bombings and civilian massacres that have taken place in the last 80 days. Remember, just on Tuesday, 19 people were killed, including a Taliban commander in a suicide bomb attack at a military hospital in the heart of Kabul. It was claimed by the ISIS Khorasan group. All right, now to get us more updates in terms of what's actually unfolding in Afghanistan and why is the supreme leader of the Taliban talking of infiltrators within the ranks of the Taliban, we are joined in by our correspondent Anas Malik, who is joining us live from Kabul. Good morning to you, Anas. This is an interesting statement that's been put out by Haibatullah Akhundzada, where he claims that there are certain infiltrators who've joined the Taliban ranks who are trying to destabilize the government from within. What are we to make of it?
Well, Saleh, this is a significant statement, a rare public statement, but this calls for alarm bells that are ringing at the highest level within the Taliban, because we've seen the Taliban going on expanding their operations in order to induct people as security forces following their takeover of the country. But the other bigger problem is with regards to background checks and differentiation on who is who. And that is what the bigger worry for the Taliban remains, because we've seen that they do not have uniforms, they do not have proper identification systems, and a reflection of this has been seen in the blast that took place on Tuesday outside the Sardar Daud Khan Military Hospital here in Kabul, when after the first suicide explosion, an IS-KP member disguised or pretending to be as Taliban helped to shift people inside, and once inside he took out a gun and started shooting. So now the statement coming in from from Taliban's top tier leadership, including its supreme leader Haibatullah Akhundzada, calls for alarm bells. But this is not the first of its statement. We saw similar statements coming in September this year as well, and then last month as well we saw a statement coming in from the Ministry of Interior spokesperson Qari Saeed Khosti, which called on Taliban fighters to disassociate themselves from IS-linked people, otherwise they would have to face punishments, and the punishment that they would have to face would tantamount to treason as well. It can be under the trial of treason as well. So quite of a serious statement, quite of a serious problem, and Taliban are trying to basically tell their ranks within to disassociate and to identify those quote-unquote infiltrators who might not just be the Taliban or from the Taliban, but are rather pretending to be one of them.
Right, now, it actually throws up a very interesting problem, because according to the American intelligence, there are some 2,000 ISIS Khorasan terrorists in Afghanistan, and it is also being said that most of these individuals who've joined the ISIS Khorasan group are people who've defected from the Taliban because they did not think the Taliban was adhering to the teachings of Islam in their opinion. And therefore, realistically speaking, will it be possible at all to identify and create a distinction between these individuals who are a part of the Taliban and a part of the ISIS Khorasan group?
Well, you rightly mentioned the American intelligence assessment says that there are about 2,000 fighters. The United Nations monitoring team, the UNMT report, it said that it estimated the fighters of IS here in Afghanistan between 3,000 to 5,000, somewhere around that. That is one of the problems, because the IS continues to expand its foothold. Earlier it was in the east towards Nangarhar and Kunard and Nuristan, and now there are credible reports of the IS regrouping in Badakhshan, that is towards the north of the country. So regardless of how much the Taliban would want to downplay the threat of the IS, that remains an existential problem. And the other problem, you rightly pointed out, that there are defectors from the Taliban who are joining the IS as well. Not just the Taliban, but ex-military people from the Afghan, those who were part of the Afghan National Army, they're also being part, and they're joining. At least 30 plus people that have been reported have joined, who were previously part of the Afghan National Army, are now part of the IS, because it gives them two things: gives them protection from the Taliban and gives them money as well to run their household. So that on the other hand also remains a problem. With regards to differentiation, there is no particular mechanism. Yesterday we were out on the roads, we ran the story as well. As we speak, there are only two sorts of uniforms that the Taliban have. One, that is for the elite Badri unit, the Badri 313, which are wearing those camouflage uniforms, very similar to the military uniforms that the Americans wore, number one. And number two, the second sort of uniforms are those blue camouflage uniforms that are worn by the Taliban intelligence unit in order to differentiate, and their foot soldiers. So only these two have. Nobody from the ANP or the Afghan National Police has any uniform. That is a bigger problem, because most of these fighters are shalwar kameez clad, the same attire that is worn by a gazillion people all around Afghanistan. So that remains an existential problem. They are trying to work out a mechanism, but it would be a long walk to walk on until it's actually achieved. Until then, we are seeing that the IS continues to attack. Saleh?
All right, some interesting problems that the Taliban will have to overcome in the next few weeks. Thank you very much indeed, Anas Malik, for joining us from Kabul and getting us all those insights into. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.